Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to another broadcast of
While we fall asleep. As we fall asleep.
There you go. Something like that, a variation on the theme. And tonight we have a special guest with us. His name is Greg, or as Starbucks calls him, Grage. That's a whole other story. But I had sent a voice text, I don't know if you call it that, to Lex maybe
a couple of weeks ago.
And I wanted to talk about scarcity. And I think my exact words were something like, scarcity is an illusion. And I think that kind of kicked off some controversy in our household. So I think we can start there with, and I guess I can start it off with what I was thinking about it when I said it's more of an illusion. Just thinking about my journey and where I'm at right now, it really occurs to me that abundance is kind of the word of the day, or the word of the time, and scarcity I kind of equate with more of a fear-based mindset. And that, I think, is where I kind of started thinking about this whole concept of scarcity being an illusion. And it really is kind of based a lot in what I would call materialism, or a materialistic view of things. Because if you really think about it, really what you are needing in your life doesn't come necessarily from material things. I mean, there are some things that do, obviously, you need to feel like you have a place that you can be at, a roof over your head, food in your mouth, things like that. But I think in the world that we're living in right now, where there is a huge focus on capitalism, acquiring things and amassing things, it's very difficult to stay focused, I think, on who we are as beings, and what that value is, and the fact that really we are, it's going to sound like, I don't know, but we're really like rich in our spirits and rich in our hearts. And we really don't require, I don't think, a whole lot of things. I mean, sustenance, yes, but we can find that. So I guess that's where I would start the conversation and say that, I'm realistic about this, that, obviously, in the paradigm that we're in this particular situation that we're in, there are certain things that we need. But
I think that you just were kind of on a lot of things just right there in that last 4.5 minutes. Kind of across a wide range. You said initially that scarcity is an illusion. You wanted to be your next podcast.
Yep.
What I took exception to was that it sounds, it runs the risk of sounding very cavalier. when you don't have scarcity of a house over your, roof over your head, or water scarcity. I mean, we have water scarcity as in the drought, but there's people that live with real scarcity, and it is not an illusion to them. So that's what kind of started our conversation before we got to this point of actually having the podcast. So from what you just said, that, it's kind of been fleshed out a little bit more about how you felt like it was more of a spiritual illusion.
Yeah.
Not literally like scarcity is an illusion. And so, how dare you say that to somebody who doesn't have anything to eat, that, it's just an illusion that...
Imaginary.
Yeah, exactly. It's imaginary scarcity. But in how you, kind of explained what you were talking about more, that's a different thing. Right?
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope that the idea is that while we're thinking about what we have in our lives, the focus really is on what we have in our lives and not what we don't have in our lives. And I think that that's what I was trying to say. Maybe
you're saying that it would be better to have that as the focus, what we have in our lives, where our abundance is.
Yes.
And not where our...
Because I think that there's plenty of that. And I mean, I used the example, and I think we were talking about it. I mean, it's kind of, I think it's interesting that pretty much each day I go to work and I'm about my day, and there are things that I find.
Your daily money.
There's my daily money. And then I think that I found it particularly interesting that somebody was asking me for money on the street, and then I looked just to the right of me, and there was money on the street. So
Did you tell them to go get it?
I didn't tell them to go get it, but I think my point is that it's the point of abundance, and it's the point of things are there. It is just a matter of, do you see those things? And do you have the, is your mind pointed in that direction? And, I've had a lot of people recently just ask me about, hey, what's motivating you to have these posts like you do right now? And, people that I don't even know that are listening to these things, or
You
reading
mean the Facebook posts?
the Facebook post or the podcast, that we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, it's interesting because you don't know who's looking at what or who's reading what, but my thought in this whole journey was more of, it's about providing an insight into what my journey is. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. I mean, I will say that I will put that out there as, hey, this might be a path that you might want to go down. If it's not, then that's totally cool. But it seemed to me at this particular point and at this particular time that there was a need for a wider vision instead of the narrow vision that we've been presented. So, Craig, do you have anything to add? No. Okay. Lex?
Yeah, I think it's wonderful that you are doing these podcasts, and I enjoy being party to it.
Okay. Well,
I think sometimes it goes down many different
Yes.
paths, and it's a bit tangential. So sometimes it's hard to comment when then it's my turn to comment, and then it's been like.
I think you should comment. You think you should just break in.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I would break in, but I don't. I think I was just taking what you're saying, and I don't really.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. I mean, it's not like anybody.
I feel like it almost should have been the podcast where we first were like tangling about scarcity is an illusion. And I was like, you can't say that kind of thing, with people that like where there is actual scarcity, because that just sounds so glib. And then so we had this long conversation, and halfway through, I'm like, this needs to be recorded, because that would have been a very good, podcast, just talking about, and then you had the opportunity to say, but that's not what I meant. I didn't mean that, physically scarcity is real, but it's more of a,
I think,
It's just with the statement, scarcity is an illusion, it was kind of chafed me.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that many times statements are taken on their face, and I don't think there's a lot of, well, what about this? I don't think what comes to my mind right now is the idea, not even the idea, but the apparatus of a kaleidoscope, and how many times it changes. And you look at it from this view, and you just have to adjust it just a little bit, and then you see another point of view. And I feel like that is what our society just doesn't have right now. Like, there is that ability to tweak that view just a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, or however you want to say it, whatever degree you want to say it to, and be able to see it from that point is lacking. And that is why people get so upset when people make statements about things, because there is this thing that is just so, I think, rigid right now. I don't know that it's always been like that. But I do think that there is a collective kind of dis-ease with everything that's going on right now.
I would agree with you. I think it's a very the sort of zeitgeist might be the right word, of sort of
miasma, whatever you want to call it. I think
a vapor running through it that is not healthy.
Yeah, and so I think that it is incumbent upon all of us to be able to say, to change that paradigm, and we all can. I think there was one of my posts that I said that exact thing. Is like understanding that the shifts in the paradigm, and okay, this is where we're at right now. Now, what are we going to do with this? Mm-hmm. How are we going to be? So, all right. Anything else to add?
Not at this time. Thank you for inviting me.
As always, it's our podcast. Okay, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.